lectures. So in this session we will be discussing the vector product of two vectors, that is the cross product of two vectors. So we shall discuss some of the properties, as well as we shall discuss that if you are supposed to calculate A cross B, then you can calculate it in the form of a determinant, in which the first row would contain I cap, j cap, k cap, followed by the elements of A vector in the second row and the elements of B vector in the third row. We shall also discuss some of the questions based on this concept. So let's begin. Okay, so the next topic that we have is the vector product or the cross product. The vector product or cross product of two vectors is defined as a vector having a magnitude equal to the product of magnitudes of two vectors with the sign of angle between them and direction perpendicular to the plane containing the two vectors in accordance with right hand square rule. So what does that mean? That when we are finding the cross product of two vectors, cross product or vector product of two vectors, then that will be again a vector having magnitude equal to the product of magnitudes of the two vectors along with the sign of angle between them. And the important point is that the direction of that particular vector would be perpendicular to the plane containing the vectors. So we write it as C vector is equal to A cross B, that is the cross product of A and B is given by vector C, and it is given by this formula. So this is the formula that you will be utilizing in your questions. C is A cross B is this, and again I am repeating, the direction of the vector is perpendicular to the plane containing the two vectors. So now we have certain important properties of vector or cross product. It says first one is A cross B is minus of B cross A. That means you cannot change the positions of the vectors. The order of the vectors are extremely important. So if you want to reverse the order, you will have to put a negative sign. Then second one says M A vector cross B is M of A cross B is A cross MB, where M is a scalar. So that means if you have a scalar M with the vector A and you are required to take the cross product of this quantity with vector B, then you can take out the M, that is the scalar, outside, and you can find out the cross product of A cross B. Or what you can do is you can take that scalar M with B also, B vector, and you can find the cross product of A and MB. And so the result in all the three cases would be the same. Next we have is A cross B is 0 vector if and only if vectors A and B are parallel, provided obviously A and B should be non-zero. That means that the cross product of two vectors, if it is a 0 vector, it happens only provided the vectors are parallel, subject to the condition that both the vectors are non-zero vectors. Now this is important, I cross I is J cross J is K cross K is equal to 0 vector. So the cross product of I with I or J with J or K with K is 0. Next one, this is also important, I cross J is K is minus of J cross I, J cross K is I is minus of K cross J, and K cross I is J is minus of I cross K. So don't get frightened seeing this formula. In fact, you will not have to learn it, you will not have to mug it up. It's just that in this, just see, you have to follow the cyclic order. That means if you are taking the cross product of I and J, I write down I cross J, that will be K, we are going this ways. Then if I take the cross product of J and K, then that will be your this I, and if you are taking the cross product of K cross I, that will be J. And moreover, since we have already discussed in this property that A cross B is minus of B cross A, so from that it follows you can write it as minus of J cross I, minus of J cross K, minus of K cross I, right? So this is this formula, just follow the cyclic order. Next we have is A cross B plus C. You can just open up the bracket and you will get A cross B plus A cross C. Next property says let A be the vector a1i plus a2j plus a3k and B is B1I plus B2J plus B3K, then A cross B, we have already discussed the formula, but in questions you can directly apply this method, this formula, that is you can write it in the form of a determinant wherein the first row would be ijk and the second row would contain the components of vector A, then the third row would contain the components of vector B. So, first row is ijk, then we have a1, a2, a3 and b1, b2, b3. Now, you can just open up this determinant so that we get I, and with I will get a2 b3 minus a3 b2. Then if I take plus sign with j, I will get a3 b1 minus, this will get cancelled if you remember the properties of determinants and the evaluation of determinants. We will leave this row and this column and we will get a3 b1 minus a1 b3 plus k, and we will get a1 b2 minus a2 b1. So, this is the method that is applied in questions, formula of in fact. And next one is sin theta is a cross b by this magnitude of a, magnitude of b. So, this is the formula for sin theta. Then we have a formula for area of triangle, which says that is, okay, in this we will require a diagram. You can take a figure of this form wherein I have this as 0, this is a, this suppose is my a vector, p, theta, and this is b, and this is b vector. So, area of triangle would be given by half AB sin theta, which is half cross product of A and B. So, this is the value of area of triangle. A cross B is not equal to B cross A, that is, it is not commutative, already discussed that A cross B is equal to negative of B cross A. You cannot change the order as such, and if you need to change the order or in case of cross product, then you will have to put a negative sign. Next is unit vector perpendicular to the plane of A and B is n, that is plus minus A cross B by this quantity. Okay. Next formula says a vector of magnitude r and perpendicular to the plane of A and B is plus minus r A cross B by this quantity. So, if you are required to find out the vector of magnitude r which is perpendicular to plane of two vectors A and B, then it will be given by this formula. Then we have area of any quadrilateral whose diagonal vectors are d1 and d2 is given by. So, if you are required to find out the area of any quadrilateral and you are given the diagonals, then you can find it out using this formula. Finally, we have the Lagrange's identity, which says for any two vectors A and B, A cross B whole square is equal to this term minus this term. So, this this can be a tedious task to remember these formulae, but yes, if you solve out a good number of questions based on these formulae, you won't have to memorize them as such, and obviously with practice you will be able to solve out the questions, right? Okay, now we have a question based on this. Now you will be able to understand the concept easily. Find the vector area of the triangle, the position vectors of whose vertices are I plus j plus 2k, 2i plus 2j plus 3k and 3i minus j minus k. Find also its scalar area. So, let us assume that ABC be the triangle first of all. The position vectors, ABC be the triangle, the position vectors of whose vertices, let ABC be the triangle, the position vectors of whose vertices ABC with respect to origin is O, are OA is equal to I plus j plus 2k, OB is equal to 2i plus 2j plus 3k, and OC is equal to 3i minus j minus k. Now see, this suppose is the triangle ABC. right? We are given triangle ABC and this is the direction. We are given a triangle ABC. Find the vector area of the triangle. We have assumed ABC is the given triangle whose position vectors of whose vertices are this. And now we are assuming that with respect to the origin O, the position vectors of the vertices ABC are these, right? So in a way, it just means O, then we have a triangle, suppose ABC. I have this form A, B, C, and this is my O, right? This is my given triangle ABC and this is my suppose O. Now what I can do is, we have got OA, OB, OC, we are given in fact. So BA would be equal to OA minus OB, right? You can see it from here also, BA would be equal to OA minus OB. Why? Because BA is equal to, BA plus OB is equal to OA. BA plus OB, if I find out this value OB plus BA, that would be equal to OA using sum of two vectors. This is how we find out OB plus BA is equal to OA, and therefore BA is OA minus OB, and then OA is I plus J plus 2K minus 2I plus 2J plus 3K. So this becomes minus I minus J minus K, or I can write it down as minus of I plus J plus K. Similarly, what I'll do is I'll try to find out the value of BC. Again, using the same concept, I have BC is OC minus OP, and so that will be equal to I minus 3J minus 4K. So we have got BA and BC. Hence, the vector area, now again this concept we have just now used in properties we have studied. The vector area of triangle ABC would be equal to half BA into BC, right? So this means that we have already found out the values of BA and BC. So first of all, I try to find out the cross product of BA and BC, that is BA cross BC would be equal to, again using properties, that the cross product is equal to IJK vectors, then the components of BA followed by the components of BC in the third row. So then I have minus 1, minus 1, minus 1 and 1, minus 3, minus 4. We had obtained minus I minus J minus K as BA and I minus 3J minus 4K. So this is what we get. Just try to expand. I have I into 4 minus 3 plus, if I take J, then I have 4 plus 1, that is minus of 5 it will become, and then I have K into 3 plus 1, that is 4. So this gives me I minus 5J plus 4K. Hence, the vector area of triangle ABC is equal to half of I minus 5J plus 4K, and that is equal to, okay, this is the vector area, and if you are required to find out the scalar area, then it is simply 1 square plus 5 square plus 4 square, and that is equal to half under root of 42. So this was what we were required to find out the area of triangle ABC. The second question says, let A be 2I plus K, B is I plus J plus K, and C is 4I minus 3J plus 7K. Determine a vector R satisfying R cross B, C cross B, and R dot A is 0. This is quite simple. We are required to find out the vector R. So first of all, let us assume the vector R to be xi plus yj plus zk, right? then it's given that r cross b is c cross b. Let us first find out individually r cross b and c cross b, then we'll equate those two, and then we'll utilize this condition, and once we obtain all these equations we'll be able to find out the value of r. So now r cross b would be equal to x. In fact, we can just use the formula of this formula, that is in the form of determinant. So that is I, J, K, then the value of r, components of r, x, y, z, and the components of b are 1, 1, 1. So this just gives me, this is determinant. So this gives me y minus z I, right? Then I have plus z minus x j and plus x minus y k, right? Then again, if I find out c cross p in a similar way, then I get it as minus 10i plus 3j plus 7k. So I have just again applied this formula, that is in the form of determinants, and I have obtained c cross b as this. So given that r cross b is equal to c cross b, so this means that y minus z would be equal to minus 10, then we have z minus x would be equal to 3, and x minus y would be equal to 7. Let us take this as 1. Then again, another thing that we are given is that r dot a is also equal to 0. That means now my r vector is xi plus yj plus zk. I take the dot product with 2y plus k, so that I get 2x plus z is equal to 0, right? So now 2x plus z is equal to 0 and z minus x is equal to 3 from this equation. Once I solve out these two equations, I get the values of x and z as x is equal to minus of 1, and using x equal to minus of 1, I get z is equal to 2. So we have got x is equal to minus 1 and z is equal to 2. Therefore, okay, I changed the color of my pen. Therefore, now we have obtained x is 1 and z is 2. X is minus 1 and z is 2. So therefore, now x minus y is 7 and x is minus 1. So minus 1 minus 7 is y. Y becomes 8. Okay, minus 1 minus 7 is y, so y becomes minus of 8. And now we have obtained already the values of x, y and z. Therefore, vector r is x is minus 1, so minus of I, y is minus 8, so minus of 8j, and z is 2, so plus 2k. Minus I minus 8j plus 2k is the required vector. So this question in fact was quite simple. We have just utilized the given conditions. We have found out the cross products, this and this individually, then we equated these two, then we utilized this condition, and once we obtained the three equations, we have just solved out those equations. The next question that we have is, in a triangle ABC, prove by vector method that sin A by A is equal to sin B by B is equal to sin C by C. So if I try to draw the diagram, that would be something like this. This is my B and this would be my C. So this is C, this is A, this is B. This is the position of vector B, this would be my position of vector A, and this would be my, these positions are extremely important, that is these arrows are extremely important because they will define the direction of vectors. So this will become, okay, again I will change my color. This will become pi minus C, this will become pi minus A, and this will become pi minus B. Okay, so this is the triangle that we have, and we are assuming that BC is my A vector. BC is my A vector, then okay, BC is my A vector, CA is my B vector, and AB is my C vector. This is what I have assumed as per the figure that we have drawn. BC is A vector, CA is B vector, and AB is C vector. So, by triangle law of addition, BC plus CA would be equal to BA. You can see BC plus CA would be equal to BA by triangle law, and therefore now BC was my A vector, so A vector plus B vector, BA would be negative of C's because I have taken AB to be my C vector. Therefore, now A plus B is minus C. That means A plus B plus C becomes 0. Now, if I take if I pre-multiply both sides, if I take the cross product of both the sides by A, then what do I get? A cross A plus B plus C would be equal to A cross 0. So, this gives me A cross A plus A cross B plus A cross C would be equal to 0. This further gives A cross B would be equal to minus of A cross C, or that just means A cross B would be equal to C cross A, and in fact this would be equal to B cross C. How? If since in this case I have pre-multiplied it, I have taken the cross product with A vector, similarly I can do so with B vector, and with that we'll get this, and therefore since B cross of A plus B plus C is equal to 0 vector. This is 0, right? So this is what we have obtained. This we had obtained, and this also we can obtain. So by using with here, if I take it with B vector, then I can get this equation, and therefore A cross B is B, C cross A is B cross C. So this is what we have obtained. What does this give me? A cross B, now I am just utilizing the formula. So I get AB of, now the angle between A and B, that would be vector A and vector B would be pi minus C. You can see the angle between A and B would be pi minus C. So I have AB sine pi minus C would be equal to CA sine pi minus B would be equal to BC sine pi minus A. In fact, these should be capitals since I am taking it as angles, right? So this gives me AB sine pi minus C is CA sine pi minus B is BC sine pi minus A. So we get AB sine C is equal to CA sine B is equal to BC sine A, right? So BC sine A is equal to, I can write CA sine B is equal to AB sine C. Now just divide all the terms by ABC, so that I get sine A by A is sine B by B is sine C by C, and this is what we were required to find out in triangle ABC. Prove that sine A by A is sine B by B is sine C by C. So it was quite simple. We have just taken, you were required to find out to prove this. So just take a triangle, just assume any kind of vectors. Let us this side we have assumed that A, this is B, this is C, and by using the triangle law of addition we have derived the required result. If you have got any kind of queries on the topic, you can post it for free on our discussion board of askIITians.com. For doing so, just go to the website askIITians.com, go to the discussion board, and as soon as you select the option of discussion board, on the right hand side you will see the column Ask Experts. In that you can select the category of the question for example say algebra, and just post your question. You can also attach any kind of image with the question. Then just click on get answer and the Ask IITians experts will give you the answer within the duration of 24 to 48 hours. So I hope you must have understood the vector product of two vectors, that is the cross product of vectors. Now just practice a good number of questions on it in order to get well versed with the concept. In the next session, we will be switching to the scalar product, scalar triple product of vectors, that is also termed as the box product of vectors. We shall discuss some of the properties as well as questions based on the concept. So stay tuned.